Welcome to Hoop Collective Podcast. We talk about the NBA. So we've got a really good show today with some special guests. And always love to have guests on the show when I like them and respect what they have to say. And so we've got some folks like that today. First up, from the LA Clippers, a guy who's having a career season, really been one of the great stories of the early NBA year, Norm Powell, who we're going to talk with him about how his season has gone. And then stick around for later because a pod I've been working on for quite some time. I really like to respect and highlight the work of NBA officials. And so we have two NBA officials on today. James Capers, who's a 30-year official, who I will just say now, because he's not in front of me, I honestly believe might be, if not the best, one of the two or three best in the league, because James is an excellent official and completely officiates without emotion and without ego. And I really, honestly, if I had to pick if I had to pick three officials for Game 7, James Capers would be on that list without question. And by the way, I think he would be on the league's list. I think that he's regarded that way in the league. And then Tyler Ford, who's one of the very good young NBA officials in his 10th year in the league. We'll talk to him. He's a guy who could do this for 30 years and could be a guy who you start seeing in finals games pretty soon. If you don't know James and Tyler, I promise if you watch them and see their faces, you will recognize them because they do very big games. But first up, here's my discussion with Norm Powell. All right, now joining me from the LA Clippers. I've just always called you Norm Powell, but I don't know you. Do you like to go by Norm or Norman? What's the, for some media guy you don't know very well, what do you prefer?
It doesn't matter, man. I have so many nicknames. Norm is cool.
What was your nickname as a kid?
Man, actually. And man, my mom and my sisters just will call me man.
Yeah. Now you grew up in San Diego. Did you grow up a Laker fan?
I did. I grew up a Kobe fan. So
of course you did. Well, why wouldn't you? You did.
Yeah, for sure. So I followed the Lakers all the time.
What was it about? You know what's strange about Kobe that was crazy? I don't know. You got to play against him, right?
Yeah. One time, other than that, I was sitting the bench, but his last game in Toronto was my rookie year.
Oh yeah, you didn't play much as a rookie. Sort of.
Yeah. I got thrown in there and it was bad, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, well, how was it bad?
Just because I was caught up watching Kobe, my favorite player, being on the court with him at the same time. And then I actually got a shot while he was guarding me. Well, wasn't really guarding me. He was in the paint. But I got a left corner three. And I just remember him turning about to close out and being like, hell nah. And I'm about to make this. And I airballed it. I was like, dang.
Oh, Norm.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just a great moment to be on the floor with him. But yeah, he definitely got in my head when he said, hell nah.
I mean, listen, like I respect you can play against your idol. Like, that's amazing. Yeah, it was, what was so crazy about that year where Kobe like announced his retiring is that, I guess I can't understand this. Maybe you can help me understand it. So if you remember, like Kobe announced his retiring, like right about now, like he came back from the Achilles. It was clear that, he just didn't really have it. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to retire. You remember, like there was just this one day where he just announced, like, I'm done. And I went to the first road game that after he did that, it was actually in Washington. And so the game ends and like all of the Wizards players, like so you've been around long. This is your 10th year in the league. When you came into the league, when the game ended, the players from each team didn't meet each other at half court and hug each other.
No. It was like if you knew people, like new guys from college,
right.
In passing, you'll say, what's up and talk for a little bit. But other than that, like it's like wave and you going right back to the locker room.
Right. Now it's a convention. Now, then you guys would do that sort of usually in the loading dock or whatever.
Yeah.
So that just didn't happen back then. And so I'm at this game in Washington. It's his first road game since he announced. And all of a sudden, like there's this pilgrimage of guys who just like had to come up and they were just drawn to Kobe. And I mean, in retrospect, that whole year was like that. And of course, now that he had this unfortunate death, Kobe has become like larger than life. But like, I totally get you grew up as a Kobe fan. You were a kid watching the Lakers win championships. Like, how old were you when like the Shaq and Kobe Lakers? You like probably like what, like 10 or 12?
10, 11, something like that.
come on, man, they're winning like 3 championships in a row. Of course you're a Laker fan, right? But what I didn't understand was like all these guys that were like his contemporaries, guys he was playing with, who he treated like crap for years, cussed him out, whatever. And like they were lining up to like hug him. Like it was truly, and then it became normal. Like it was like every game after that. But like that was truly an amazing time when like the whole league was like, now it's time to appreciate Kobe.
Yeah, it was a respect thing, like we
For
knew
sure.
what he stood for, and like it was about the game. Like it wasn't like dissing a player like personally, it was just his mentality and approach, and everybody like fed on that. Everybody found like their own motivation and reason to play off of his mentality and approach to the game. And like I think from what he stood for, like everybody felt that, and like just to appreciate all the times they had and then share it, or even like players that didn't get the chance to share the floor with them, just growing up watching him play. We all like took bits and pieces from his game, our approach, and it was just a respect thing of like, thank you for what you've done and how you've helped motivate us.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally true for your generation, but like the one generation or two generations older where like he was truly, kicking their ass.
Yeah.
Like that's what was so amazing. Now, I don't know your shoe situation. Are you a Kobe shoe guy?
Yeah, I'm a free agent, but yeah, I'm a Kobe
Okay.
guy for sure.
Hey, listen, FYI, Norman Powell, who's having a career year as a shoe free agent, let it be known.
Yeah, there you go.
So you wear Kobe's now?
Yeah, I wear Kobe's right now. The Kobe 4s are my favorite model.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've learned. Like people who are Kobe shoe guys, like I think DeRozan and Booker are two like the most well-known guys. But like,
yeah, I try to in Toronto try to get the shoes and stuff from DeMar. I got a few pair, but it's always tough trying to pull them from him.
Yeah, I did a story a couple years ago when Kobe's wife decided not to re-sign, and like there was that year and a half or whatever, maybe like 2 NBA seasons where there was no new Kobe's.
Yeah,
it was like hard to get them, and like there was
man,
like a
they were rare to
competition.
get, and they were like jacking up the prices when you're trying to get them like off websites and online. Like it was so hard to get them.
So did you buy shoes to play in
Yeah,
games?
I bought a few Kobe's for sure.
How much did it set you back?
Well, I got them as like tax write-offs because it's for work.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to turn you in, but like,
But yeah, I mean, a few thousand.
Okay, that's amazing to me because NBA players, like, when would you ever buy a pair? I mean, you maybe buy a pair of shoes that you'd wear off the court, but buying shoes that you play in, that was crazy for me to hear that.
Yeah, literally, if it wasn't Kobe's, then like I was probably wearing like whatever. But since they're Kobe's, I didn't mind buying them because like
right. Well, you're not alone. There was a lot of people who told me that same story.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about Kobe. So you are having a tremendous year. You are 31 years old. You're in your 10th NBA season, and you are having the best year of your career. This is not a normal circumstance. But I've seen what you said about it. And really, look, you were in the 6th man of the year voting the last 2 years. You were obviously playing and scoring really well. You just weren't starting. And this is obviously coming down to opportunity, but still, it is not normal for a guy to show such improvement in the middle of their career. And the one thing I've come away from talking to your Clipper teammates and coaches and stuff is how hard of a worker you are, especially on skills work. And I just wondered if you could like talk a little bit about that and when you get your work in and how you get your work in, and if you were always that way.
Yeah, the work ethic has always been there. I know we just stopped talking about Kobe, but I got the mentality and how to work from him.
Kobe system? Are you a Kobe? Is that it's a Kobe system situation here?
Yeah, similar. I made my own little thing, but just the part about sacrifice, and committing to the game and committing to the process of getting better, is what I took from his mommy mentality, his Kobe system, and made it my own. For 10 years now, I've been working with my same trainer, AJ Diggs.
Yeah, AJ, a lot of people from the Clippers are giving him credit for how hard you guys work together.
Yeah. So we started off at pre-draft, and then from there, we just started developing. And like my summer routine, people say I'm crazy for it, but I work out 3 times a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6, depending on how I'm feeling. And we just build out.
How long have you been doing that?
For 10 years.
Right.
For 10 years. Yeah. So just improvement.
And so not to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
So what is your average off day in this? Not off day. How does your average? What does your average day look like in like July and August? Like when do you start? When do you finish?
Yeah, so start at 5 o'clock on the court, and then from there I go back rest.
Five
Break
a.m.
5 a.m.
So what time are you getting up?
Like 4:30.
Wow. In
Yeah,
the summer, Norm.
in the summer. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
This
yeah.
is professional athlete talk here. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, we do. We get on the court at 5, go for about hour and a half, then come back, do my recovery, rest stuff, and then go back and do
So
my.
how long is recovery then? So how long are you like at the gym for?
I'll probably get back home at like 7. I mean, details after
Well,
shower.
I just want people to know like how much time you're putting in here. Like you don't have to tell
Yeah,
me what you're drinking or what,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
in the tub, but I just want to know like,
Yeah, so I do about like an hour of recovery once getting back home and everything, and
yeah.
then from the recovery piece, go back and do my weights and conditioning at noon, and then come back, do the same thing, do another recovery session, have lunch, and then we come back later and do more of a skill base, working on footwork, working on shooting, off the dribble things that analytically that he breaks down that I need to improve on, and we just rep that out. And each day is a little different.
Yeah. And so you're doing that 5 days a week throughout the whole summer. Like
Yeah.
that's now do you work out with other guys or are you in there by yourself?
Majority has been just by myself. Here and there, we'll pull guys in based on what time and who's in town. Because I live in Vegas, so guys come in and out to get work in our summer league. I work out with CJ McCollum and some other guys that he's training. They'll come through and we'll get some more like one-on-one stuff to work on some like defensive things. But majority of the time is by myself.
See, this is, you're very attuned to, tax write-offs and IRS and living in Vegas and, no state income tax. I mean, I can
Hmm.
see you went to UCLA, like, you went to a good school. You learned some things there. I feel you with that. Like there's no doubt in my mind your remarkable improvement from when you were in Toronto. Like, obviously, you had talent. You wouldn't have gone to UCLA. You wouldn't have been in the NBA. But like
Hmm.
the I don't know how you feel about it. This is me on the outside, but you are a very different player even when you got traded to Portland, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that, but
Hmm.
because you had some high scoring, you've always been a scorer. Like,
Yeah,
I assume your whole life you've been a scorer,
yeah.
but you got a lot more to your game than you did. And I mean, I think this is a product of all this work because I don't necessarily think this is normal for a guy who's, in his 30s in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like I give the props to AJ because like he breaks down like we have open dialogue, but like he does a great job of like breaking down areas of improvement, different things that in scouting reports, talking to different guys that he works with and like seeing the scouting report and what they're trying to take away and what they're trying to force me into, and so we just try to make those my strengths throughout the summer, throughout the course of the season during games. Whether it's a good game, we're still looking at improvement plays, bad games, and how we can get better, and I think the emphasis on, the off ball movements and things like that, off ball dribbling, and attacking down with my left hand and things like that have been like, kind of areas of improvement and teams are forcing me into. We just rep that out, so that way, it's hard to, take away one thing or the other on any given night.
Well, that's interesting because the two of the things that scouts have told me about watching you this year. First off, they talk about how they have really seen James Harden's trust in you grow.
Mhm.
Where obviously, I mean, he's got a 25-point scorer next to him, but where he now really looks for you a lot more.
Yeah,
And like you two have become, more of a tandem. I mean, obviously you played with them last year, but how that's become more of a thing. And also how teams are now clearly scouting you
yeah,
and rotating guys to you. And
yeah,
like how you are now becoming a well, let me just stop right there because I see you smiling. Like you're in the scouting report now, maybe more than you are. Like, are those
yeah.
have you feel those two things?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, to the point of James, I think just with the situation of the team, Kawhi being out, PG Russ being gone, and stepping up into the opportunity of being the 1-2 punch every single night. We've had a lot of open dialogue and how we can, help lead this team the best way. I think my hot start to the season, everything like that. James sees, I have a lot more to my game, and we've had those talks and like how to play off one another and get us in to our spots so where we're comfortable and being able to be the most effective. And then second to your point with the defenses, man, it's been a lot of fun. I've been like scouted and stuff, like hearing depth coverages and stuff from the bench, like don't
Right.
go under, force them this way, force them that way. But like now it's like for whatever 36 minutes, wherever I'm on the floor, like it's like don't leave him, find Norm, like deny him, top lock, like deny him, don't rotate off him. And it's like, dang, man, like rotate a little bit so I can get an open
Yeah.
shot. A lot of things
Right.
I'm like trying to read and like create on my own. But before, it'd be like the finishing of plays. I don't have to like start, I'm playing off of Y or James, and it's finding me on the opposite side on defensive rotations. Now I'm finishing, but now it's me being the creator. It's not only about.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, this is what scouts are telling me. They're saying that now, because you're getting sometimes even two guys thrown at you, or certainly bringing help, that you've had to like create, like you're looking for guys more, like you're kind of graduating
Yeah.
to becoming basically, a higher level scorer,
Yeah, like trying
and
to find ways to get my teammates better, trying to find ways to get them looks, to kind of loosen up the defenses and make it easier for me, get those guys going. And then, I know that I'm going to have touches more, I'm have more opportunities. So not having to look for my shot every single time down, not because I don't know when it's going to come. This year is different. I know I'm being featured and I'm looking for me. So now it's just like, what are the defense doing and how do I execute and exploit that?
yeah, I mean, you obviously saw this as a possibility. I mean, you obviously made the headlines in training camp when you said, whatever you said about Paul leaving, like
Yeah.
opportunity. I don't remember. It's not, I don't really care about it. But this is what you were talking about. I don't think you were, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I don't think you were trying to insult Paul. I don't know, maybe you were. But like, I just think you saw that this is something you could do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, am I off base there?
Yeah, no, it wasn't an assault or like everybody like media tried to run it as
Well, that's
that.
what we do. That's
Yeah,
what we
but
do.
it was more just talking about my opportunity, and not only my opportunity, just the guys on the team. I talked to Terrence Mann, Amir, and all them, and being excited for each of us having to take a level up. When T Man was working out with me a few times in the summer, and when we were in Paris or whatever, talking to AJ and like, yo, this is a year where
Oh, so
we.
you work out in Paris in the summer too? Like you
I work
you
out everywhere I go. I like to travel. So AJ comes with me, and we make sure we get the work in before anything else. That's the most important thing.
So were you over there for the Olympics, or was that a bigger
I
thing?
went over for Fashion Week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went over there. Then I spent a month in. Before that, just traveling around Europe, just enjoying the different cultures, but still working out. Like I don't sacrifice that.
I can tell 3 days a week. Like, well, what are some of the facilities that you have overseas? Like, how do you find a place to work out 3 times a day? Like,
I leave that up to AJ. I tell him this is what it
okay,
is. This is the schedule. But I was in Croatia. Zoo helped me get a gym out there. We were in Paris. Nico helped me get a gym
okay,
out there. AJ knows a lot of people. So wherever we're at, he has some type of contact or connect. And it might not be a gym that's all how fancy or whatever, but
yeah,
it has the frame
right.
and the court, and that's what matters.
Yeah, yeah. Zubac is. I assume he's got some hookups back
Yeah,
home.
man. Big
Like,
time Zoo.
yeah. So, what's your favorite place to go? Like that you've. Well, what was your favorite place over the summer that you went to?
My favorite place is always Greece, and
Okay.
south of France have been the two places that I like to go.
Isn't there a? Or no, in Spain they have the NBA Players Union has like a setup in.
Yeah, I was supposed to go, but had something back home. I think it was my youth basketball camp, but I want to go out there this year to check that out.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's like in my Marbella or something like that.
Yeah, but like it's like hey, it's like the union has a setup over in Europe for exactly what you're talking about here.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go
Um,
check it out.
so like look, I would not even begin to pretend like I know what I'm talking about here, but again, the people with the Clippers tell me that they really think that it's working out with James this year. Like, he's not shooting the ball. He's had better years for shooting it. But you guys
Hmm.
are obviously playing really well. Nobody expected you guys. So you had a really hard schedule, really games heavy schedule. And then you
Hmm.
were playing great and you missed like 5 games with a hamstring. But a lot of people who I trust are talking about how well James is leading this year. And he's obviously more in a more comfortable role being in that sort of center of everything.
Yeah,
It's something's obviously working because you guys are, right now you'd be in the playoffs.
yeah.
So how has it been working with James?
I mean, just a complete buy-in. Like I've said it before, at post game, but just like him, buying in and coming back early and building that chemistry with the guys and doing all the little things in the summer. The conditioning, talking to the young guys, talking to JVG just about the defensive coverages, and really being vocal about how we need to be. Then bring the team to Arizona and doing the team building for a
Yeah,
week.
you guys organized something in
Yeah,
Phoenix or
James set it
something?
up. He set it back up at Arizona State. We did softball. We did just a week of workouts, dinner and stuff like that. But just like his commitment to the team, the commitment to himself, coming in, making sure his body and everything is right, and just being very vocal. On and off the court, doesn't matter if it's the G League guys or me and Zoo and the guy starting. He has the same approach and he wants to win. Anytime we're in the locker room, he's talking to the guys on how we can get better and the team that we need to be night in and night out.
Yeah, so like here's the thing. Like obviously James enjoys himself off the court, but like you're his teammate, you can deny this. He is a worker. Like
Mm-hmm.
for people who, they obviously
Don't
he
know.
has, he sometimes wears really strange outfits. I don't know what you see
Yeah,
weirder in the Paris Fashion Week or when you see him like wear like he's got like hold his pants up.
yeah, yeah. High
But
fashion.
yeah, he's a worker, right? Like he's in the gym too.
No, yeah, he gets his work in, and that's what I appreciate. Even when he first came, here last year after the trade, like getting ready for that ramp up for him to come back. Like I see him running the stadiums because I'm in there in the morning too. He's in there getting his workout, and even after his workout, he's doing conditioning, running the stairs and things like that, just to get his body in shape and ready to play. But like he's really diligent in his approach before and after practice, getting the treatment on the tables, lifting, getting his shots up, and things like that. It's a little different because he's older, but he's still getting his work in.
So you mentioned JVG. Now that was my teammate for like 13 years at ESPN. Now
Mhm.
he's your teammate because he's an assistant coach. He's back on the bench
Yes.
for the first time in like a long time, like over a
Mhm.
decade. Um, See, here's the thing: like, you may not remember Jeff as a coach. You'd have been pretty young. Like,
Very vaguely.
this is a guy who led teams to the finals. He was, he could have had like 7 or 8 different coaching jobs, but he just stayed on in the broadcast booth. Like,
Mhm.
and he's worked with Team USA the last couple of years. But like you mentioned James and JVG, I know that they have had a good bond. What's it been like to bring JVG in this
It's
year?
been fun. I made jokes like, maybe he said one or two things about me when
I'm sure he did.
he was in the broadcasting. But it's been great, just his energy and his passion, especially controlling the defense. I think it kind of like rejuvenated us in the way we approach the game, the way we are where we play, especially defensively. Like it's attack, it's aggressive, it's detail oriented, it's attacking other teams. And I think in the past season, like we still had good defense, but like now it's like we're going to be the ones that are being the aggressors, more physical, getting out and causing havoc, getting steals and things like that. And we got
Yeah.
guys that fit that mold and then
Well,
buying
you've
it.
always been known as a two-way player. In fact, you
Mm,
might even though like you always scored, like people appreciated your ability to defend. I mean, frankly, you're on a very good contract. You're well paid. I'm sure you'd like more. Who wouldn't?
mhm.
But part of the reason you got that contract was because you're a two-way player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would assume that, that appeals to you the way you guys are playing this year, which is like
Hmm.
defense over everything. You guys are a top 5 or 6 defensive team.
Yeah, and for me, like I love it. Like I said it before, like guys get irritated with how detail oriented it is because he's like pulling guys like, no, we got to be a half step up, we got to be this way, we got to be into the body, and like he's stopping the plays. Like, okay, we know this. Like year 10, like I know how to get over a screen or whatever it is. But it's just like the attention to detail and what it takes to win. So for me, like I love it. They pulling other guys along, like to have that focus when it's a defensive segment, man. But you see it on the floor. Like guys are flying around, guys are talking about it, guys are communicating, and it's the game that we're playing right now is a lot of fun.
Well, after your summer in Europe, you guys had the hardship of going to Hawaii for training camp. And I've just been told, I wasn't there, I wish I was, that everything that you guys there with Ty Lue was defense first. Because
Yeah.
if you guys were going to do anything this year, obviously Kawhi was out at the start of the season, and obviously you lost Paul, and
Mhm.
you replaced him with like Derek Jones has been really good, Chris Dunn has been good. Like it's not like you lost him for nothing,
Yeah.
but there was obviously a talent drain, no doubt. I mean, that's
Mhm.
not an insult, but like I was just told, like that training camp, it was all about defense, like everything you guys did, and it's obviously carried over because even though you're getting attention for how you're shooting the ball, you're shooting like almost 50% on threes. You guys are defending. That's why you guys have been able to
Mhm.
have a good start, in my view.
Yeah, that training camp was defense and cardio.
Oh, really?
Like literally defense and cardio. Like it didn't matter what it was. You turn the ball over, air ball, somebody's messing up a drill. It was on the line, on the line, on the line, on the line.
That's Ty Lue blowing
Yeah,
that
that's Ty
whistle.
Lue, and everybody's like, "Man, we got to run again." And it'd be like a 10, like down and back 10 times, 8 times. We're like, "Dude, what we doing?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. Like it's all for a reason. Don't worry about it. Just get on the line." But yeah, I mean that whole training camp, like wasn't about offense. I don't think we put offense in until probably like the day before we played Golden State out there. You know, it was all about our foundation of the defensive rules and principles and how we're going to be. And then offense was just going to take care of itself. But yeah, that training camp was like probably one of the toughest ones I've been a part of.
Yeah, and then you've been around. You've played for a bunch of different coaches. The thing about Ty, and I've covered him on and off for years. I've never played for him, obviously, but the thing about him that impresses me is that he's able to be chill
Mm-hmm.
because some coaches are high strung, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's able to be chill, but then he seems to be able to, when he needs to, get into guys. Like that
Yeah.
was like, one of the things about him with LeBron was, he respected LeBron enough to give him space and respected LeBron that sometimes he needed to be coached and he would get in his face about it.
Yeah.
Um, what is it like? Because Ty is regarded as one of the most favorite coaches to play for in the league. How do you feel like it is playing for him?
It's amazing. He's probably one of my favorite coaches. I would say like him and like Chauncey are like one and the same. I think it just
Mm-hmm.
has a lot to do
Well, they're
with
like best friends. So.
yeah, like, but they're just like being able to go through the league. They know it. They know what we're thinking. They've been in different roles, so they know what guys are going through. So he's able to relate to them. So it's really easy to be able to talk to him because he's been in our shoes. So he's able to pull guys up, get into their mental and what they need. And how they need to be for us to win. But he also is real. Like he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He'll pull you to the side and tell you the real. If he doesn't like the way things are going, and I think it's just a respect factor. He's won at the highest level, and
It's
he's
true.
played. So like guys know, his resume speaks for itself. So he already has the respect of the room when he's coaching and in the locker room.
So what do you work? You always had confidence that you could play this well. You've talked about it. You've been very eloquent that you always believed that you could be this type of player. So what now? Like, where can you go? Like, what are your goals? What do you think can happen for you now?
I think just hopefully an all-star appearance here there,
Yeah, I
but
mean, like, let's be real. Like, you just did Draymond's podcast the other day. Like, you're trying to get a little bit of attention on Norm Powell, which you're earning with your play. You don't need podcasts, but like,
mhm.
let's pay attention to these numbers. Like, no doubt.
Yeah, so like all-star has always been a goal of mine. I always view myself as a player that can be one. So that's a goal of mine individually. But I want to win championships. I want to be one of the
I
focal
believe
points.
you have one, sir.
Yeah, but I want more. I want multiple. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
always been on the winning
Do
teams.
do
I've been in
guys
the
ask you
playoffs.
about that?
Oh
About
yeah.
when?
Oh yeah. They talk about it. How was it like? What was the run like? What was
In
it
case
like?
people don't know, in
Yeah.
2019 with the Raptors, Norm
Yeah.
was on the Raptors with
Yeah, it was
Kawhi.
more so. It's more so questions like how was it winning one in Toronto, and what was that whole experience like? But I don't want just one. I want multiple. Like I said, Kobe was my idol. It was all about winning championships, and that's been my mo.
Well, that was a amazing run. And I mean, like that's, there's guys who play 15, 18 years and don't get an opportunity to have that type of run, especially because, you know, Toronto never experienced anything like it.
Yeah.
And the way the city was, and, you had been there for the whole
Hmm.
buildup, you
Yeah,
know,
the growth and the boom of basketball, especially after Vince Carter era and all that, like basketball in Toronto as a city was just getting a lot of eyes because they had All-Star break there my rookie year. Like basketball was growing around the country. It was
that
great.
was not a good memory.
It was great for me, but it was freezing that weekend.
Oh, freezing is an understatement.
Yeah.
Some people said it put Toronto back in the eyes of NBA star players because they're
No, it
like,
was
I'm never
crazy.
coming to play here.
Yeah, it was crazy cold.
But yeah, I mean, an all-star, for sure, you're definitely a serious candidate for that. The way you guys are, also the way your team is overachieving. Plus, like, look, you got 1 year left on your contract after this year. Like, you're still in your prime. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm sure you want to get taken care of. You see what these guys are getting paid.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I don't honestly, like people say that all the time, but I really don't look at like what potential like contract is on the table or anything like that. Like I've always had the mentality of focusing on basketball. And if I play great basketball and I play the way I think I can play and know I can play, then the off the court stuff, the contracts and stuff will take care of itself. But like I don't play for the money, the money will be there. So I just focus on what I have to do and what I can control, and then let my agents and everybody else take care of that.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard this, but when the Clippers traded for you, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back with
Mm,
the owners. Um, because the Clippers had really been really creative in like building up their assets and trying to figure out how to like take three or four pieces, put them together and make a trade.
yeah.
And you how long had you been in Portland? Like about a year?
Yeah, not even like half a
Yeah.
like I guess because I got traded halfway through the season and traded again here.
Okay. So like that trade, what brought you in, like I won't go into all the mechanics of it, but the day that trade went down, it was like a couple days before the trade deadline.
Hmm.
I was actually in LA at breakfast with an owner.
Hmm.
And I don't know if Woj or whoever broke the trade. We were sitting at breakfast when the trade, he was so pissed off. He was like,
Really?
I cannot believe that the Clippers got Norm Powell. This is like, we got to put a stop to this. And like, it was like, because the Clippers have found different ways to put
Hmm.
things together. But yeah, so I don't know if you ever heard that, but like,
Mm-mm. Nah.
you you getting traded to the Clippers might have like forced all these new. I mean, it was going to happen anyway, but I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sort of people were like the rich get richer, etc.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's why they wanted a new CBA.
yeah, well, yeah, I think it was going to happen anyway, but it was kind of
Yeah.
funny. All right, well, hey, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. If you haven't checked out Norm and what the Clippers are doing this year, you should put it on your list. It's fun to watch you guys play. It's fun to watch you play. You guys defend hard every night, and thanks again, and I wish you luck.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man. A lot of fun.
Thanks. Have a good.
I always wanted to do this interview, so I'm glad I got it.
Well, I hope it lived up to all your hopes and dreams. So, thanks a lot, man. Take care.
I appreciate it.
All right, now joining us, I'm very excited about this podcast. I've been working on it for a while. And, there's three teams on the court in any basketball game. And people, when I say that to people, they kind of look at me like, what are you talking about? There's three teams. Well, obviously, there's the home team, there's the visiting team, and there's the third team, which is who we're talking to today, the officials. I am a very proud believer and supporter in the quality of the NBA officials. I have been for decades. I will be as long as I'm around. And I'm very happy today to bring on two of my favorite guys in the NBA. One is his 30th year, James Capers from Chicago, Illinois. 30 season, James. It's not that often I get to talk to somebody who's been around the league longer than me. So it makes me happy that I can talk to you who've seen more bad basketball than I have. Thank you very much, James. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me on today. Really appreciate it.
And joining us, I believe, Tyler Ford, you're one of our favorites here on the Hoop Collective. I believe this is your 10th season.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, double digits, Wendy.
I know. It's
hard to believe.
I know. Now, so Tyler and I have a connection. Our connection is Tyler is from Ohio, from Western Ohio, from Lima, Ohio, which is where all the good small school football teams are.
Marion Local. Did you see that?
Oh, yes. Maria Stein, Marion Local. I covered many of those games when I was covering high school. What's the name of the Western Buckeye League or Western Buckeye Conference, right?
Yeah, the WBL. Yep.
Yeah. But so that's not where
my wife's from the Mid-American Conference who, played against Marion Local. And then Marion Local's head coach, Tim Goodwin, his dad was the Alanis's legendary head coach, was where I went to high school. So there's some connection there.
So the reason I have a connection with Tyler, James, is that I kind of, got my start in basketball covering the Mid-American Conference, the MAC, as did Tyler. He went to Ball State.
Yep.
I went to Kent State. These are journalism school rivals and MAC rivals. And, back when I was around Tyler, like we're talking about Bonzi Wells
Yep.
That kind of era when I was in school. But you refereed in the MAC for how many years?
4 to 5, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about the MAC, James, is it's one of these places where you want to get in and then you want to get out.
So just so you guys know, I'm upset that you're not giving my Northern Illinois Huskies any love.
That's right, Northern Illinois. Although they weren't in the MAC when you were there, right?
Yes, they were.
Oh, they were in the MAC.
Yep. I
Okay.
wasn't in school that long ago.
Tell me about it. That's what I keep telling people. But James, you were the son of an NBA official, right? Did you grow up always wanting to do this job?
No, I didn't grow up wanting to do it. My father refereed in the NBA for 24 years. I got my degree from Northern Illinois, was in the business sector, and decided to change jobs. And my father came to me and said, while you're looking for a job, he said, you always been around the game. You always played the game. Why don't you referee some games in high school in Chicago so you don't have to go into your savings? I refereed that whole season in the Chicago Public League. That summer, Hugh Hollins had a big referee camp that he did in the summer out in LA. I went out there to see if I really, really liked it and fell in love with it immediately.
Yeah. Hugh Hollins was sort of was one of the legendary guys for decades.
Yes.
And I'm trying to compare him to somebody today, but I really wouldn't even. I guess he would be sort of like Joey Crawford. Nobody's quite got Joey Crawford's attitude in the current ranks. But like he was like your generation. I guess Joey Crawford's your generation too. But like you certainly knew when Hugh was on the call, was in the game, just like with Joey. But yeah, so yeah, you grew up in Chicago. Did you go to see a lot of games that your dad officiated?
So I went to all the games he had in Chicago, obviously. I would go to all the games he had in Milwaukee because he would drive up to the games. But I was 9 years old when my father got in the NBA.
Mm.
I knew every referee from Mindy Rudolph, Earl Strom, all the way Jack Madden, Hugh Evans, Hugh Hollins, Lee Jones. I can name them all. So by the time I got to high school, the only two places my mother would let me drive was to the old Chicago Stadium and the church on Sunday.
And what is it like to be sitting in the stands when nobody knows it's your dad and the fans are all over him?
Well, so you got to remember back when my father reffed is when Chicago Stadium maybe had 8,000 people, so it wasn't a problem then.
Yeah.
but when my biggest challenge came from kids at school that would watch games and they would just bury me the next day about how terrible your father was. He missed this call. And that led into more than a few fights on the playground for me.
But you were defending your dad.
I was defending the family honor. No question about it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, Capes, because my son just came home yesterday and said, somebody in his class said, I might have booed your dad at the game last night because I was in Indiana on Sunday. So he's experiencing that now, as you were back then.
Well, tell him to call his Uncle James. I can help him get through it. This is only the beginning.
Yeah, it's hard. So like one of the reasons why I respect officials so much, other than I've been around the world and I see, I always try to explain to people is you should see what you think about the NBA officiating, go watch officiating across the world and see, how high quality the NBA officiating is. But my father was an official for decades, never rose higher than small college, did a lot of high school. And I would go to games. And, in some ways, it's almost worse in a high school gym than in an NBA arena because, you got 20,000 people. It's just one loud boo of, when you're in high school, when you're at a high school game or something, it gets more personal, But I always found that difficult to have my dad, dealt with in that manner. So I can appreciate the challenges. It's a rewarding job, but also the challenging. The thing I want to go over today among them is just how much work you guys put in on your craft, because the average fan, I don't think, has any idea. So James, I wonder if you could take me through what an average NBA day is for a referee and include the travel, because that you don't just, get from New York to Charlotte in the blink of an eye, like what you guys do and how much you work on stuff and what you have to send to New York on an everyday basis too.
Yeah, I agree that very few people know what our day is like. So we'll fly in the day before the game unless you're on the back-to-back. Normal game day for me is I will start preparing about 10 o'clock to have an 11 o'clock meeting with the crew. At that 11 o'clock meeting with the crew, we'll go over the mechanics, we'll go over play calling, we'll go over any things of interest of if these teams played before, if they had any disciplinary problems or any fights or anything like that. After that, we'll go to lunch. We'll still be talking a little bit of basketball, break from lunch, get a couple of hours of rest, and then about 4 o'clock, start getting ready to get over to the arena. We get there hour and a half, 2 hours before the game. We do a pregame over there where we'll go through the matchups, go through scenarios that can happen. We then will do the game. Obviously, as you know, while the game is being played, we're taping it in the locker room. So just as teams go in at halftime and make adjustments, we could come in and look at plays. And if we've had any challenging matchups, any controversial plays, if there's some kind of tempo in the game we're not adjusting to, we'll make that same adjustment at halftime. Complete the second half, come in, watch any critical plays that we want to watch before we leave the locker room, go back to the hotel, unwind for maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then we'll watch the same game we just watched. We'll break that game down, and we'll be very critical of our work, mechanically, play calling wise, and everything else. And then I will, because I'm a crew chief, and the crew chiefs will then do the game report. And then when you get to the playoff, you have to do a game report and the summary, breaking down the game, giving pertinent plays, critical plays, technical fouls, disciplinary action, any other things that the next crews for this particular game will have or this particular series. So I'll probably start my day getting up at 9 o'clock because a lot of guys from that 9 to 10 window will work out when I'm trying to prepare the mental part and emotional part for us. But I'll start about 9 o'clock waking up. And by the time I go to bed after the game, it's probably between 1 and 2 in the morning.
Yeah. People that understand every technical foul is paperwork. Like it's sometimes, people see refs giving out technical fouls. Like you just added more work to your day. It's not just have them go the free throw. There's a whole bunch of stuff you got to go through on your forms on your iPad at 1 a.m. after you do that.
No question about that. And that is only part of it, that technical foul part. Being critical and have constructive criticism of your work and be able to supply that to the league so that our supervisor and then obviously our big boss, Monty McCutcheon, will know what to expect when teams may call after game or coaches may call after game, that we have already looked at it. We have already given our honest critique of it, and it helps guide him along the way also.
Yeah, and Tyler, I think people don't understand. Every call is reviewed and graded. Like, they see the 2-minute report, but the league does every call. And so, you get your, a lot of times your work is put right out there in the public, depending if it's a close game, but it's not like there's any hiding. It's all there. And you have to deal with that every single day.
Yeah. Every game's on national TV because you screw up, you're definitely going to, somebody's going to find out about it. So yeah, every play and what James just sort of outlined, that preparation and that work leading into the game is to try to go out there and get every single play correct for that particular game and prepare the crew to be the best version because we are going to get analyzed and graded. And look, every decision makes 50% of participants upset in some form or fashion. And, it's just the job as a referee. So, the work in the locker room and the debriefing and the analyzing, we do that amongst ourselves. We watch a lot of games too. So we're watching our colleagues.
So you guys spend a lot of time together on the day of the game because you spend in the afternoon together. You'll meet in the morning, afternoon together. How often? There used to be different pods. Is that still the way it works? Is there like different groups that you guys work in, or is it all together now?
No, we used to have 4 crews of 15 people each, and then we would flip them at the midway point. But now we've gone from 58 refs to 75 refs over the last 5 years. So now you work with everyone. And basic reason for that, if we had it the way we had it before, you could potentially have somebody on the staff. You may not work with them for 4 or 5 years. And I don't think that serves the purpose of what we want to do.
And so how often, and every game is a different grouping? Is that generally the way it goes? Do you guys ever?
For the most part, yeah. If you get on a West Coast swing, you may get the same crew back-to-back games, but that's pretty rare.
James, so how long? So you guys obviously both live in NBA cities, Chicago and Indiana. So you have some home games. But how long is most of your games obviously are not at home. How long is the average trip away from home? When you leave, how many days and how many games?
My average trips will be between 6 to 10 days. So I'll work every other night. So I could work between 4 games to 6 games. And I will work maybe 3 times here in Chicago. And then I call Milwaukee a home game too, because I drive there and I get to stay in my bed at night. So if I get 6 out of my games, that way I'm happy.
The whole season, if you get 6, 3 in Chicago and 3 in Milwaukee,
I'm happy.
6 home games for the whole season. And how many times a year do you guys have to go out to the West Coast?
Ooh, it's starting to become a lot. I'm a full-time crew chief for the first time this year, so it feels like it's even more. I think I'll be on 5 West Coast swings by the 1st of January. So it's trending to be 8 or 9 trips, I suppose, by the time we get to April.
Because I'm always in LA, and so I see the referees come through and I'll see Zach Zarb. I'll be like, Zach, this is the 4th time I've seen you out here this year. He's like, yeah, tell me about it. And Zach lives in New York, or New Jersey, actually. When you get to the arena, you guys are sometimes out before the game checking on the equipment. What is the equipment that you guys have to check on before the game starts?
Yeah, so we get out. We got to be on the floor by 15 on that countdown clock. So the crew chief checks the active list, which is part of the responsibilities. The other 2 referees will have the designated person, the ball checker from each team, which isn't always the captain. But
timeout. I want to thank you for bringing that up. This is one of the things I like to watch. Now, sometimes this is very routine, where both teams have to approve the ball. Is that right?
That is correct.
And sometimes it is not routine. There may be a player or 2 who will never accept the first ball. Chris Paul, who will never accept the first ball that is offered to him. How is the ball check situation? How does that work on a night-to-night basis?
It's interesting because I think sometimes the older veteran players like the balls that are worn in. So these NBA Cup balls, they had a special logo on them, and they're trying to get them in practice. And there's always an issue at the beginning of the season. It's always an issue because the balls are brand new. The younger guys seem to like the newer balls, and there's always a little bit of a dynamic, and ultimately you're trying to find a ball that everybody can agree upon. And if we got to get one out of the layup line and go back and measure it to make sure it's the right weight, it is what it is. So, the home team supplies us 3 balls in the locker room. We make sure the air pressure is correct. We bring them out and all,
So you guys you travel with a gauge, right?
We travel with a gauge. Yep.
And
Tyler, let me help you out with something. I tell my partners, take the balls to those 2 guys and let them know if they can't figure it out, I get to pick it.
There you go. That's what the 30-year vet says. Listen here. So also there's this, I don't think that the average fan knows about the technology on the clock. That people talk about the clock operator, but the clock operator is you guys. You guys stop and start the clock. If you could explain how that all works.
Well, we have the technology with the timing device. So whenever we blow our whistle, the clock stops. But also with that, we have a button where we can start it. And the goal is that we are in control of the time. But we also use the game clock operators as backup to start it if we don't, or if something goes wrong with our unit. But the whole purpose of the timing device is to get exact timing of starting and stopping the game clock.
Yeah, so all that's got to be tested. You guys wear something around your neck, right? That
there's little microphones that kind of clip near your whistle that pick up the sound. That's what stops the clock. So and you'll see us test our whistle to kind of sync in with the system at the table pregame, and then that the table will show who blew their whistle and who started it. They have all that technology, and the team foul. It's pretty fancy. The score stuff with the Tissot system are pretty fancy now.
Yeah, James, when you first started, I doubt that technology was around. I think the clock operator started it when they stopped when they heard your whistle, and started it when they saw you drop your hand.
Absolutely. That was it. And I got hired, it was right after the P got in, the P and the whistle. So we didn't even have that technology with the whistle yet.
So are you, I don't even know, are you guys hold your whistle in your hand or keep it around your neck? How does that work?
Go ahead, Cakes.
I wear a lanyard.
Go ahead, Cakes.
I wear a lanyard, and the big thing is these guys that don't wear a lanyard, they got very flavorful names for us that do have a lanyard.
Oh, why is that considered like old school, Tyler? Like that's what the old men do with the lanyard?
Typically, the people that wear a lanyard see themselves as more professional in the ranks. So we always give the lanyard people a hard time that they can't, use carry a whistle and do that thing at the same time. So James is one. Danny always wore a lanyard, so I'm sure that's probably maybe an influence. And
yeah, Danny Crawford, Chicago legend.
Yeah, that's
Who
right.
are the lanyard guys off the top of your head, Tyler? Do you know?
Foster's a lanyard guy. Give him a hard time.
Naturally, of course.
That might be it. Kevin Scott wears a lanyard. So there's not a ton of guys. It's kind of funny when you get on a crew and you're the only non-lanyard referee. It's just, some fun jabbing that goes on in the locker room with that.
Yeah. So, however, when you wear a lanyard, you're not going to lose your whistle. So, Tyler, I ask you, has the whistle gone flying? How many times a season does the whistle go into the stands?
It's happened like 3 times already. I think I got flagrantly fouled the other night, got bumped, whistle went flying. So it's definitely happened, which then obviously people give you a hard time when that whistle hits the ground. So you always get a look from your fellow colleagues. And so that's always
something, James.
And it costs him a couple drinks. It costs him a couple drinks.
A round of drinks.
Thank you. James, I'm telling you right now, I'm not just saying it because I'm an old man. I would have the lanyard. Yeah, James, when you started in the CBA, how many years did you do in the CBA?
I was in the CBA for 6 years.
So that's obviously, NBA travel is can be grueling, but CBA travel back in those days, man.
That was, I'm going to tell you, that was the best training ground we could have ever had. You played in those small cities, so we all stayed in the same hotel. We're all on the same planes. You could be sitting next to a guy you threw out a game the night before.
That's wild, man.
And everybody down in the CBA was frustrated. They weren't in the NBA. And you think about it now, the rosters are at 15 in the NBA. Well, back then they were 12. So, when I tell you we had real players in the CBA, they had some good players. And then when guys at the end of their career were trending down, they would all come down to the CBA and play. So like George Gervin. I was there when John Starks, Anthony Mason, that whole group was down there. Every night was the firemen versus the police. It was a war.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that the crowds, it wasn't, they didn't have NBA security exactly going on. So
my favorite story down there was in Wichita Falls. Henry Bibby's the head coach, and Henry Bibby always put on a show for the fans. That was the coaches' league down there with him, Eric Musselman, Phil Jackson, George Karl. But we were having a tough game, me and my partner. And this is 2-man officiating.
Right.
And they had given out those little balls before the game, and we made
no.
We had about 4,000 balls, and they were white. It looked like it was snowing on the floor.
Oh, no, you can't do that in the CBA. Oh, no. The CBA, they're probably trying to collect them so they can give them out again.
Exactly.
That's just great stuff. Tyler, I have to, we've had a professional discussion here, but now we're going to take it out of the profession and into the complete world of unprofessionalism, because I did decide to let Tim McMahon come on. Wichita, I was reminded because of Wichita Falls. He's in Oklahoma City right now. Tim McMahon is a man who stands over 6 foot tall, Tyler. He has an opinion about the height of referees. And, you stand below 6 foot. I think we'll just be clear. And I'll just get out of the way here. If you have something you want to say to Mr. McMahon.
I just wondered if McMahon was going to explain why he hates short people. That was really my question.
No, I don't hate short people. It's just a quick trigger, quick fuse thing. Now, Look, they made me put on a suit and tie to talk to you. They were trying to
You
make
look
me
good. You look good.
Thank you. They sent me down
He's
to the
trying not to
Juke
get
League, though.
fired
I
today.
got
Yeah,
the
Bontemps
OKC
is here
blue
too.
behind me. No, listen, and I fully acknowledge during my heyday, which ended quickly after high school, I certainly had my issues with the referees growing up. I definitely imagine that, but I just think that, and I've softened on it a little bit, Tyler. I have softened on it. I no longer think you have to.
Wait
be
a minute.
minimum.
You softened on
I've
this?
softened.
Really?
I've softened. I've softened on this.
Okay.
I no longer think it has to be a minimum of 6 feet.
James, how tall are you? How tall are you for 30 years in the NBA? Are you 6? You're about 6 foot,
I'm
right? I don't know how you.
6 feet.
Oh wait,
All
in
right,
shoes,
you passed measure.
in shoes with some soles on. What's going on here? If nobody who says they're 6 feet are 6 feet, so I'm going to put you in the sub 6 foot category.
Oh my God!
Now I'll say this
There we
though,
go.
Tyler.
Go.
I'll give you credit, Tyler. I think that while you're still vertically challenged, I think your fuse has become longer and longer as you've progressed. It's I think your fuse is becoming taller.
Oh my God!
So I have a question. How tall should you be to be a referee?
Minimum 6'1".
Why?
Because the wee little
James,
fellas have the quicker fuse.
James, you've learned the end of the podcast, which is there's no reason for anything. It's
There's
not.
a
This is
reason.
what happens.
I'm
Hey,
telling
That's
you.
how it goes.
He hit me with the two. I saw him in Phoenix at the beginning of the season. I'm walking down the hallway, and I guess see this guy hit me with the too small.
Can you believe
From down the
that? He
hallway.
hit. Tyler is a crew chief now, McMahon. You cannot be given too
It was a
small.
strong one too, boy. That was emphatic.
Hey.
Like there was, that elbow really was jutting down, boy.
Hey, let me tell you
Listen,
something. If I'm not mistaken, the referee has the ability to throw any
That's right.
person in
It
that
was
bowl
post game.
out. I don't care. He has the ability. You guys have control to throw anybody in that bowl out. Now, I will just tell you, McMahon has been ejected from the Dallas Arena on multiple occasions.
Listen, we
This is
got
why
free license on the podcast for you guys to walk into the arena in Dallas. Look at McMahon sitting in that little courtside seat and say, "Hey, buddy, get out of here.
Hey,
Get
listen
out.
here.
Get out."
Listen, he had just reffed a full 48-minute game featuring Luka Doncic. Me hitting him with a too small was not the
By
worst
the
thing
way,
we
if
heard
you
that
throw
night. I can
McMahon out,
promise
it'll
you
probably
that.
earn you some points for about 3 minutes with Luka during the game, too. It's
That's
not like
true.
they're best friends.
No, he
Get
won't
us
start until
favorite
there's
up the
9
front.
minutes left in the first quarter.
I've
11:48.
picked up on this. McMahon, he's taking some shots here and there at some people. I've seen this. I've heard this.
McMahon, I've been unfortunately friends with McMahon for a long time, and he
I
takes
disagree
shots
with
at
that.
everybody all the time. It doesn't matter who they are or what they're doing. So
He
you
makes
guys are
fun
just
of
part of the
he
crew.
relentlessly makes fun of people on Instagrams, including their private Instagram, like with no one to see, just to
I am
be
who I
personally
am.
Just to
insulted.
do it.
The best part of the sub 6 foot minimum requirement is that there were a lot of people who actually took that seriously. I had to kind of
That's
calm
good.
down with that. I was getting hate mail.
All the vertically challenged people in the world, they stand in solidarity. They're
Which-
defending us.
Which also proved my point. Short fuse.
All right. Well, McMahon is sitting in front of the OKC Blue with his G League takes. The OKC Blue. Hey, James and Tyler, thank you so much for coming on. I apologize for this loss of decorum at the end. I held him back as long as I could. The reason I had him on here is the NBA referees. The referees union they have their own YouTube channel, and they've started to put out videos where they have interviews with referees telling stories. The one that they put out already a couple weeks ago was with the 4 guys who have 30 plus years. James, you're one of them. Obviously Scott Foster, Sean Corbin, and Tony Brothers.
Tom Washington.
Oh, Tom Washington, right. And the 4 of you guys sat around and told stories about the old days and the modern days, and it's about 20 minutes long, and I loved every single minute of it. And you should definitely go on there and spend a little bit of time. And I guess you guys did more of that. That was only a portion of the conversation.
Yeah, there's more
Correct.
coming. 3 episodes. So episode 2 should be hitting here pretty shortly.
Awesome.
It's great. Yeah, you can definitely check that on the YouTube channel. And thank you very much to the NBA League office who let us have this. We'll see how they feel about me letting McMahon and Bontemps on. I could see an email coming soon.
I had a conversation with a certain guy in charge of the referees before this happened, and said Tyler's going to come on and have some words for McMahon and put him in his place.
Oh,
And
well,
Monty,
you know his
Monty
boss.
McCutcheon, Monty
Whoopty-
McCutcheon
well,
was
whoopty-
pleased to hear that somebody was going to
Listen,
come to the defense of his referees.
If he can
so I think
handle
it's all
Luka
okay.
Luka and Draymond and some of these dudes, he ain't scared of some tall reporter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, anyway, thank you guys for coming on and have a great season. I hope to see you guys later on. See you in the playoffs. Everybody be happy and healthy and have a good holiday.
Same to you guys, and thank you so much for having us on. Really appreciate it.
All right. That was a different type of podcast than we normally do, having Norm, James, and Tyler on, and then those two knuckleheads at the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Always like having thoughtful players on, and Norm definitely fits into that. I'm glad to give him some shine because he's playing great and really overachieving, which is one of the good stories in the league. And then obviously loved having the referees on. So thank you for watching, listening to the Hoop Collective podcast. Thank you to Jackson, my producer, for stitching this all together over several days. Thank you to Bontemps and McMahon, and we will be talking to you next week.